for their actions. You need to be. Do you remember me? Do you remember me? Do you remember my son, an all-star wrestler? He's good. He shot himself in the heart. You scumbag.
A heartbroken, really an outraged mother lashing out at former Judge Mark Ciavarella. Now, her son, an all-star wrestler, killed himself after being sent to a juvenile detention facility for a minor drug offense. Now it turns out that Ciavarella was accepting money to do that, send kids away for cash. The former judge was convicted yesterday of 12 counts, including racketeering and money laundering. The judge remains free while he awaits sentencing. What a scene outside that courthouse. And let's talk about it now with Sunny Hassan. She's a contributor to In Session on our sister network, True TV. Sunny, it's hard to watch. Thank you for joining us. Let's talk first about this woman who was yelling. There are reports that say this judge sent her son, who had no record, to one of these youth detention centers for months, all for possessing drug paraphernalia. Is that unusual?
It is extremely unusual, Don. You know, I've covered a lot of these cases, a lot of juvenile justice cases, child sex crimes and the like, and it is very unusual for someone with no record, with ties to the community, with a mother that clearly cares for him, to be sent away to a detention center. That is not what happens to a first offender, and it really goes to show you really how corrupt this judge was, because it is just way out of the norm.
Well, okay, so if the judge was convicted and and it's way out of the norm, you can understand then the mother's outrage. This is a huge case, Sonny, involving thousands of juvenile convictions and more than $2 million in payments. How do you think that this continued on for so long?
You know, I think it's because we trust our judges. They're either appointed or elected officials, and sometimes there isn't a balance or a system of checks and balances to check judges' sentences, to check what they are doing. But I will say in this case, the system worked. He was investigated. It was federally done, and so he's looking at probably about 157 years in prison by my count. I will say this, the prosecutors say he's not going to get that much. He'll get between 12 and 15 years. I don't think that is enough in this case, because judges are given just such wide latitude, and it's such a huge responsibility, in particular, to be a juvenile justice judge. And so, you know, 12 years, 15 years, not quite enough in my book, Don.
Okay, listen, I hope you're watching at 7 o'clock. I wish that we had gotten this earlier. I'm getting news just in my ear from my producer that the mother of this young man is going to join us. Her name is Sandy Fonzo, and it's 7 p.m. Eastern hour here on CNN. And we're going to talk to her about what happened on the courthouse steps there in front of the courthouse and how she feels about what this judge did. So we'll talk to her. Sandy Fonzo, the mother of that young man, 7 p.m. Eastern here on CNN. Let's move on, Sonny, and talk.
Message. He's not here anymore. My kid's not here. He's dead. Because of him! He ruined my life! I'd like him to go to hell and rot there forever!
Ma'am, come on.
No, you know what he told everybody in court? They need to be held accountable for their actions. You need to be. Do you remember me? Do you remember me? Do you remember my son? An all-star wrestler? He's good. He shot himself in the heart. You scumbag!
A heartbroken mother lashing out at former Judge Mark Ciavarella. Her son, an all-star wrestler, killed himself after being sent to a juvenile detention facility for a minor drug offense, an action that lined Ciavarella's own pocket. Sandy Fonzo, the mother you just saw, she joins me now live. That's her son right there. Sandy, tell us how you're doing, first of all.
I don't know. I'm just trying to put one foot in front of the other every day. I'm just trying to just keep myself together, and I don't know.
You don't know.
My son was my life, and that's all I had, and now it's gone, so I don't have that same life. I exist right now.
Yeah. How did your son first come in contact with Ciavarella's court?
He was 17, and he was going into his senior year of high school. Like I said, he was an all-star wrestler. He was expected that year to take states. He would have been the first one in his high school to have that title, and he would have received a scholarship to anywhere in the country. And right before school started, he just started hanging with a different crowd, and he was staying out later. He, was pushing the limits, and it just went on for a while. Ed lived just with me. I wasn't with his father, and he just, I don't know, things were just getting a little bit out of control. And when I spoke to his father, he had friends that we actually went to school with in the Wilkes-Barre Police Department, and we knew Ed was at an underage drinking party, so we sent them in just to get him out of there. We wanted to put a scare into him and just get him back on track, and you know, he just had too much to lose to go down that path.
So he was like many teenagers. Most teenagers want to experiment. They try things. They go through the bad years. So he was just dealing with that. So you feel that what this Judge Ciavarella did was way too harsh for the offense that you think your son actually did.
Right.
The paraphernalia thing.
My son went away for 6 months for that, and he sent him to, well, first he sat in that juvenile detention center for 30 days, and then came in front of Judge Ciavarella, and at that time I had letters and coaches of teachers and coaches, a letter myself. My son cried. He just, okay, I just want to go back to my life. I want to wrestle. I want to get back to my life. And he wanted to send him. He told him he had a drug and alcohol problem, so he needed more help. Sent him to a boot camp, which he was in with all inner city kids, murderers, gang members, arsonists.
And you believe that your son just never really got over this and sort of internalized it, and then he killed himself.
No.
So listen, that outrage that we're seeing in front of the courthouse, that outrage, that was what, months, years of buildup that you had inside of you?
Yes. Yeah, because this snowballed. That time when he went in front of him, it never ended. It snowballed. He ripped my son's spirit. He killed his spirit. He crushed him. He didn't help him. He knew he was wronged. He was so full of resentment and pent-up anger, and he was just not, he was never the same. And it snowballed. It went from one thing to the next. And the only reason I went there yesterday, I was at work. I couldn't go to that trial because I knew I couldn't contain my emotion when I saw that judge. And the only reason I was there is because I heard he was going to be taken by the court marshals and cuffed and taken away right to jail, and that's what I went there to see. And when I got there and learned that that was not the story, that he was going home with his daughter, and I said, none of these kids, and they still wouldn't say, they were trying to say there was still no cash for kids, you know, no remorse. Never did he ever say he was sorry. He still says.
Sandy, can I interrupt just for a second and ask? I mean, at this point you said your son was your life, and you don't know how things are right now. Can you ever forgive this judge?
No, never. Never. There is no justice. He'll never receive my sentence, what I have to live with every day of my life without my son. He left on that beautiful day yesterday to go back with his family. I have nothing anymore, and he still has nothing. It was all for nothing. It was all for greed and for more and more. He never had enough, and he took everything from me. And I'll never, never forgive him, no.
Sandy, Fonzo, our hearts are with you, and I think the whole country, anyone who's watching this would feel the same way, and we understand your rage in front of that courthouse. Thank you so much. Best of luck to you, okay?
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so listen, when we come back,